Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to unlock, honestly, one of the most powerful skills you can possibly develop: the art of evaluating and comparing arguments. Because whether you're scrolling through a news feed, listening to a debate, or just trying to figure out what's actually true in a super complex world, knowing how to break down different texts and compare them is literally your ultimate superpower. We're going to go step by step today to learn exactly how to see past all the noise, look at multiple perspectives, and judge which arguments actually hold up. Now, think about it for a second. Do you ever get the whole truth from just one side? I mean, have you ever heard someone tell a story, maybe about a disagreement with a friend, and you completely believe them, only to hear the other person's side later and realize you were missing some massive crucial facts? Yeah, we've all been there. Today, I'm going to be your guide on an investigator's path. We're going to learn why hearing just one side of a story is never, ever enough if you truly want to uncover the facts. So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, why one source isn't enough. Second, the search for true wisdom. Third, how to compare arguments. Fourth, real-world argument battles. And fifth, education, morality, and peace. Let's get to it. All right, Section 1, why one source isn't enough. Basically, relying on a single text is kind of like looking through a tiny keyhole. To accurately judge an issue, you have to open the door wide and compare multiple perspectives. Moving right along to Section 2, the search for true wisdom. Because comparing arguments isn't just an academic exercise, it's actually a spiritual calling. Now, I want you to listen really closely to this passage from Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 25. It says, "So I turned my mind to understand, to investigate, and to search out wisdom and the scheme of things." Did you catch that word there? Investigate. Comparing arguments is a clear mandate for seeking true wisdom. It requires actually turning your mind toward understanding, rather than just passively accepting whatever you happen to hear first. You really have to actively investigate. And when you take that biblical wisdom and apply it to your everyday life, man, it becomes incredibly practical. This investigative mindset prepares you for school debates and massive research projects, for sure. But honestly, far more importantly, it prepares you for major life decisions. By training yourself to see different angles and really weigh the evidence, you become totally empowered to make highly informed, wise choices, rather than just blindly following the crowd. Section 3, how to compare arguments. We're officially opening up our detective's toolkit to learn the exact mechanics of breaking down an argument. Here are your 3 exact steps whenever you're faced with multiple arguments. Step 1, summarize each argument's main claim, their evidence, and their reasoning. Basically, just get the facts straight. Step 2, find the overlaps and the differences. And listen, finding overlaps, the points where opposing sides actually agree, is just as important as finding where they clash. And then step 3, evaluate their overall strength. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how you actually evaluate that strength. You want to ask specific questions, like which side uses more reliable evidence, which explains their reasoning better, and which is actually brave enough to address counterclaims. Remember, evaluating the actual evidence absolutely beats just agreeing with what you already happen to believe. Here's a little secret that the best investigators know. The strongest position is often a combination of ideas from both sides. Your goal here isn't just to pick a favorite team and cheer for them. Your goal is to understand the strengths and weaknesses of every argument so you can build a complete picture. It's really a nuanced both-and approach. Sometimes the absolute best solution lies right smack in the middle, pulling the strongest evidence from completely opposing viewpoints. Section 4, real-world argument battles. Let's test out our new detective toolkit on some common, real-life debates. First up, the classic school uniform debate. Now, you might read one article that argues uniforms are essential because they promote equality among students, preventing bullying over clothing brands. But then you'll read another article arguing passionately against uniforms, claiming they totally restrict an individual's right to self-expression. When you compare these, you don't just go with your gut feeling. You have to stop and ask which article provides the stronger evidence. Does the pro-uniform side have actual data on bullying? Does the anti-uniform side have psychological studies on self-expression? Next, consider the debate around renewable energy. Now, here's a really great example of finding an overlap. Both articles you read might completely agree that we need to switch to renewable energy to help the planet. They agree on the broader topic, right? But they have distinct differences in their specific priorities. One might argue that solar power is the most efficient path forward, while the other insists wind power is the better investment. You have to evaluate the scientific reasoning in both to see which one really holds up. Finally, let's look at animal testing. This is a perfect example of a total clash. One source might argue it's an absolute necessity for ensuring human safety and medical advancements. The opposing source, however, might argue it's both wildly unethical and entirely unnecessary now thanks to modern computer modeling technology. So here, the sources are clashing on both the ethics and the science. Your job is to impartially weigh the reliability of the evidence each side brings to the table. Section 5. Education, Morality, and Peace. Let's look at the underlying philosophy of why we even evaluate arguments in the first place. So the crucial point here is this. Education without morality is really just being smart, but continuing to make bad choices that cause hurt. Think about it. What is the actual point of being incredibly smart, knowing how to debate, and being able to spot weak evidence if you just use those skills to make decisions that harm yourself or other people? Academic skills absolutely must be tied to biblical morality, because if they aren't, all that education just leads to destructive choices. And that leads us to a really profound promise found in Romans chapter 8, verses 6 through 7. It promises peace of mind to everyone who keeps their mind spiritual. When you keep your mind spiritual as you investigate the world, you aren't just gaining cold, hard facts, you're gaining wisdom. And true wisdom brings a genuine, lasting peace of mind that a purely secular education simply cannot provide. We see this time and time again when people deeply engage with this kind of learning. I want to leave you with this final, thought-provoking question to carry with you today. As you go out and face complex arguments in your own life, how will combining ideas from different perspectives actually help you make better, more informed choices? And honestly, even more importantly, are you keeping your mind spiritual as you conduct your investigation? Think on that as you go about your day. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep searching for true wisdom.